Hello, Mayor Peter Freshney with our latest edition of Council's message to our community. And today I'd really like to focus our chat on the upcoming budget for the 25-26 financial year and what that means for you, the ratepayers in our community. And particularly I know your concerns and focus will be around the rates and charges that Council puts in place, and you'd like to understand what that means for you in terms of your back pocket. Well, Council has found it necessary to increase rates and also to increase the waste charges, whereby the cost of processing and managing waste is captured and reflected in the charges we apply to those generating the waste, that is us, the ratepayers. Total increase to you, the ratepayers, is expected to be in the order of $2.72 per week. That is for both waste and for rates increases. That's $2.72 per week for residential properties in Latrobe. And again, that may differ from property to property. And obviously it differs across the classes of property. For example, people living in rural areas will be different to people living in residential. People who with commercial properties will pay different rates to those with retail properties, and so it goes. But the average expectation on residential property in terms of increase is expected to be around that $2.72. I understand times are difficult, finances are tough, but again, Council has to make decisions in the best interest not only of the community, but in terms of our financial viability going forward. And a lot of work, time and effort's been put in by the management team, particularly by the staff and by councillors who have attended a record number of workshops throughout the budget process. We went out in April with a draft budget for community consultation so people could provide feedback. Unfortunately, we didn't get any feedback during that process, but again, it was the first time we've done that, so not unexpected. So the draft budget will be considered at our June meeting, but those rates aren't just about day-to-day issues. It's not just about waste and roads. It's also about major projects that we're planning to do. And for example, $1.7 million has been set aside in additional funding for the Hawley Pathway, a much awaited project. It's on the books for over 5 years. And now the designs are done and tenders have gone out, we're in a position to actually know the cost of the project and to allocate that additional $1.7 million. Not only that, we're spending money out at Tarleton Road in the order of $1 million in Tarleton Road, the next stage of that upgrade, and that's really important that we maintain that key piece of infrastructure. Likewise, we're redoing a stretch of bitumen in Percival Street between Last and East 4th Streets. That road has deteriorated to such an extent that it needs to be rebuilt, and again that work will be undertaken during the next financial year. We're also looking to finalise the work on the flood mitigation project, allocated $350,000 for that, and likewise we're doing some work out at the Penatana footbridge, which is a key component of the livability of the Port Sorell area, and we're looking to do some significant maintenance and upgrades to that footbridge. That's an allocation of $300,000 for that project. Likewise, we're spending $250,000 on the playground at the Port Sorell Surf Club, again a key piece of infrastructure for families. And we're also looking to spend $50,000 on a project which will, I think, be very popular and well used. That is the planned off-leash area and dog park out at Port Sorell. Hopefully it's similarly successful to the one here in Latrobe, but the plan is to provide that opportunity for dog lovers and their pets, and to be able to exercise off-leash. A great initiative, and one that's been partly funded by Lucy Cubitt and her family, the late Lucy Cubitt and her family, by way of a bequest. I'm really looking forward to getting that project off the ground during the next financial year, and looking forward to all those being completed. And again, that takes money, and that money has to come from rates. And again, we will, as ratepayers and residents, be the beneficiary of those projects for the years and decades to come. So funded in the short term, but the benefits are there for the long term. And as I say, very proud that we've been able to bring this budget to Council and hopefully have it adopted at our June meeting. Grateful for the work that our Council staff particularly and our management team have done in preparing the budget for Council's consideration. Probably enough from me, but I would like to finish on a significantly lighter note. Yeah, we're going out to the public seeking ideas for the naming of the new bridge out at Smith and Others Road at Sassafras. Again, a significant piece of infrastructure, primarily funded by the federal government. Really important out there that that bridge has been replaced. But we think it's appropriate that it has a name, and we'd like to have that opportunity provided to the community to consider what an appropriate name for that bridge should be. So if you see that on our webpage, on our socials, please take the opportunity to make suggestions, and we'll work through those suggestions and come up with an appropriate name for a very important piece of infrastructure out there at Sassafras, as I say, Smith and Others Road. Thank you for listening. Really appreciate the opportunity to speak to our community in this forum, and really appreciate any feedback. Thank you.